Welcome to the Hot Seat of College Football Show on a beautiful Thursday afternoon right outside of Columbus, Ohio. Today is a fun day. We are going to talk about the Week 2 Top 25. We covered what the AP poll was the other day. Now we're going to go through my Top 25. We're going to do a short little segment here. Week 1 was a great week. Week 2 and Week 3, they're going to be a little bit slower. I think the next big week we're going to have is when Ohio State plays Washington, Oregon plays Penn State, and Georgia plays Bama, which I think is Week 5. So you have a couple slower weeks. We have some big games like Michigan, Oklahoma. We'll talk about how the rankings reflect on this ranking. So let's start off with the top 25. So at number 25, they are, I think, 2-0. Yeah, I think they're 2-0. Iowa State. So Iowa State, actually, they're going to a big game this week. For the Hawkeye trophy, whatever. They're gonna play Iowa, in Ames. It's a home game for Iowa State. They are favored. They won last year by on the road with a field goal. So Iowa State they're actually have an interesting resume so far, because if you guys remember, they beat Kansas State in Iowa and then they just blown out South Dakota, I think, the other day. But Iowa State, the win, we'll see how that win versus Kansas State kind of pans out, because Kansas State, they beat them by 3, and Kansas State looked god-awful, absolutely god-trash against North Dakota. Should have lost at home. At 24, we have SMU. So SMU is undefeated right now. They're actually going to play, who's SMU going to play? They're going to play Baylor. Baylor coming off that loss against Auburn. The returning Kevin Jennings, they just came from the playoff, an ACC title appearance. I'm not a really big believer in SMU, but I think just giving them respect of being in the rankings, they're preseason. I think they're like 17 right now. I have them down at 24. Just to give them respect, even though I think Baylor's going to beat them, and we'll get to that for our picks later this week, or tomorrow, actually, on Friday, for last-minute locks. So we have SMU at 24. I think Rhett Lashley's a good coach. So now at 23, for the first time making the top 25, and it seems like forever for a program like this, down in Alabama, we have Auburn. And yes, I have Alabama above Auburn right now. We'll get to Bama in a little bit. I have them a bit higher than most people do, just because of that roster. I think Hugh Freeze is on the hot seat. I don't think Auburn's going to be very good this year. I think when Jackson Arnold plays against real opponents, I do not think that Auburn's going to be very good. At 22, we have the Fighting Kyle Whittinghams, Utah. I think Utah's phenomenal. I think they're going to be higher on this list. This isn't necessarily what I think and it's kind of a mix, and that's all these rankings are a mix of what the best teams are, what they were last week, what they've kind of been over the past 5 years, their coaching staff. So just for now, they were unranked before. I'm throwing Utah at 22. They looked phenomenal. Talking about another team that really put it down on their opponent was Texas Tech. They, I think, played Arkansas Pine Bluff. They scored like 60, 70 points or something. They absolutely destroyed them. I don't remember what the spread was, but I knew they blew it out. So Texas Tech is at 21. We're going to actually stay in Texas for 20. I got A&M. So I think Mike Elko is a great coach. I think in his first year, for most of the season, he was leading the SEC with LSU, and obviously LSU fell off a cliff. If they were to beat Texas the last week of the season, they go to the SEC championship. So I think Marcel Reed's great. They have to go up to South Bend, not this week, but next week, to go play Notre Dame, coming off a loss in a bye week against Miami. So we'll see how that game go. If they beat Notre Dame, I think Notre Dame's out of the playoff. I don't think 10-2 is going to get in for them. And if they lose that game starting 0-2, I don't think they're going to be 10-2. They're probably going to be 8-4, 9-3. They still got to play USC. So I have A&M at 20. 19, I have Ole Miss. So I'm not very high on Ole Miss, just because I think they lost so much defensively, especially losing Jackson Dart. Now in New York with the Giants, but I still think that defense will be good. They still have their coach, who's Lane Kiffin, and I think Austin Simmons is good. I think he's good. I think he's really good. I think he's he can sling it. So we have Ole Miss at 19. They're kind of improved it because like last year was their make or break year. So they obviously broke. Florida and Billy Napier broke them. Jackson Dart was crying on the sideline. So I'm just going to throw them at 19. At 18, and actually I haven't seen them this low. I'm the only one putting them this low. This is kind of more of a power rating. And I think this is the highest Big 12 team. Yes. I have Arizona State at 18. Do I think they deserve to be that low? No. I think they were too high in the my thing with the Big 12 is I only think one or two teams are going to be highly ranked, probably only one. So I want to start them because the Big 12 is so revolving. You don't want to have a team like Utah last year where I think they were in the top 10 or top 15 and they just fell. They just fell completely. So we're going to start Arizona State at 18. And I think, how many Big 12 teams do they have? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 in the top 25. All outside the top 15, though, with Arizona State being at 18. And number 17, Alabama. So I have Alabama where they are because blue chip wise, they have the most deepest, most talented roster in the country. But man, they looked bad. Ooh, they looked bad against Florida State. We don't even know anything about Florida State or Bama, so both of the teams could be really good. They could both be really bad. Florida State could be a top 5 team. We just don't know yet. So I think that game we'll see how they got to play nobody for the next couple of weeks until Georgia, which is their SEC opener on the road. I actually had Bama winning that. Bama's not winning that game. Well, I don't know. Bama was pretty bad last year, and they beat Georgia. So we'll see. We'll get there when the picks come. Yeah, I think the roster is still very good. I think a lot of it was an effort thing, a scheme thing. I think now that their backs are actually up against the wall, coming off losses like Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Michigan, now Florida State. Yeah, we'll see with Bama. And actually, the team I have above them, I think Bama has a much better roster, but this team, for the past 2 years, has had a winning record against them, with Saban, without Saban. I got Michigan at 16. I think Bryce Underwood looked very good. I don't think he flashed anything, but I think it's because it was week 1. The one thing that really impressed me was there was a lob pass where he really, it was a lob, but he got some, power into that, and he lobbed it to his tight end on the left sideline. But I think he did all the routine things very good. Bryce Underwood was over 200 yards passing. He was 21 for 31. Defense looks questionable. Offensive line, wide receivers look questionable. Actually, offensive line looked good. Justice Haynes looks really good. The Bama transfer. Talking about Bama. So yeah, I have Michigan, the first team out of the top 15. And now inside the top 15, I have Florida State, a team that was power rated outside the top 40, top 50. Now in the top 50, it wasn't even I thought they would be at 20 and Bama would be at 22. No, in the AP, I think Bama's 21 and Florida State's 14. So I think they still feel very high on Bama. Yeah, Tommy Castellanos looked phenomenal. We'll see how they go. They still got to play Clemson, Miami, and Florida. If they can win one of those, they'll be 10-2 with a win over Bama and a win over either Florida, Clemson, or Miami. So 10-2, even 10-3. If they get to the ACC championship, one of those losses is in ACC play and one of them is out. I think even if they've lost in the ACC championship, a 10-3 Florida State, I think, is getting in the playoff. So at 14, a team that I am so surprised and that are probably so happy down in Knoxville, I got the Vols at 14. Man, Tennessee, I think their wins may be a little bit overinflated because of what McCord and Syracuse was last year, even though all those guys are gone. Pena went to not Florida State. They went to Penn State. So yeah, I think Tennessee is good. They looked really good. That was a neutral site game, but it was more favored to Tennessee. We'll see what Syracuse was. Syracuse has not been good for a long time, except for last year. So we'll really see kind of what they are. But yeah, so we got Tennessee at 14, and I guess a team that beat them last year Tennessee beat this team. I have Oklahoma at 13. I just think Oklahoma's better. I think they have maybe a better defense. And John Mateer, he's like super Heisman hopeful right now. He's got a big one at home against Michigan. So that in my rankings is going to be 13 versus 16. So Oklahoma at 13. This is kind of a bunch of like SEC. You usually in these rankings you'll have like a strip of like 4 Big 12 teams and like 3 ACC teams. This is one of those where it's just a bunch of SEC teams. So Tennessee at 14, Oklahoma at 13, and then Florida at 12. Lagway looks good. He looks healthy. We will see. We'll see if he can stay healthy. I don't know if Billy Napier is necessarily a great coach. I think they ended the year last year really well with wins over Tulane, LSU, and Ole Miss. And before Lagway went down, we're beating Georgia. I think that's at the half. So yeah, I have Florida at 12, and then the last SEC team in this little 4 stretch is South Carolina. They jumped Illinois in the real rankings, which I don't understand. Illinois looked more consistent. South Carolina struggled against an okay Virginia Tech team, even though I think Jones is a good player, a good quarterback. That was a neutral. That was actually in Atlanta, the same stadium that Tennessee played in. But yeah, I think Lenore Sellers is still really good. I don't think him and Lagway. I think are a year early. Same with Arch or like the whole Heisman thing. I think for Heisman, it's probably more in the like Garrett Nussmeier, Jeremiah Smith, that kind of like area. We'll see who else can join that. Maybe Carson Beck. We'll get to him in a little bit. So yeah, I got South Carolina at 11. So now in the top 10, a team that beat South Carolina in the bowl game last year, the Fighting Brett Bielemas of Illinois. Illinois got a big road game this week against Duke. And I think if they win that game, they'll stay. If they lose, they're not going to drop out of the top 25. Duke will probably go into the top 25. But Duke really struggled with Elon. And not Musk, just like the University of Elon. That was, a one-possession game at half, 17-10, 10-10, something like that. We'll see. But, yeah, Illinois at 10, they're a veteran. Luke Altmaier is a good quarterback. They lost their receiver, Eric Singleton. Or not Eric Singleton. That was from Georgia Tech. Mate, what? I don't know. They lost a receiver to, I think, either Georgia Tech or Auburn. Like, what? They lost a receiver that they had that was really good. I forget. But I think Illinois is pretty good. I think they're a little bit overrated right now. And this is Illinois is kind of the one team where I'm like, I don't really know where to put them because they were good last year. I think Illinois, you have to put Illinois above South Carolina because they're both undefeated and Illinois beat South Carolina, and those teams last year were pretty similar. And I think South Carolina is better than Florida, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. I mean, we'll have to see. We'll see what Oklahoma is this weekend. So I think the 10 through 20 is really going to shake up this week, I think. 10 through 18, 20-ish. At number 9, we have Notre Dame. So they are coming off the loss to Miami on the road. And I know people say that home advantage is 3 points, and Notre Dame lost on the road by 3 points. Hard Rock is not a hard place to play, but I think the weather a little bit was a factor of the humidity. So I got them at 9. I still think they're good. Their defense is a little more questionable. I just think it was Miami is a lot better than we thought. So now at number 8, we got Miami. I saw Miami right now is in the top 5. I'm not doing that. I don't know how many times you idiots have to fall for this. With this stuff with Miami. They say they're back every year. Same with Nebraska. Same with A&M. It just don't fall for it. I'm putting Miami above Notre Dame because they beat them. But Miami at 8. I think every team above 7-1 right now are leagues better than Miami right now. So now this is kind of the more contenders team from 7-1. At 7 we got Clemson. Clemson is ranked 8th right now. I still think Clemson's better than Miami and Notre Dame. So I'm not dropping them too far. I just think LSU is really good. So Clemson is going to went from 4 to 7. Yeah, 4 to 7. And they're we'll see. We'll see if their offensive line can get better. Probably will, pending injury. At number 6, I got Oregon. So number 6 and number 5, I really kind of considered who I wanted to put above each other because in the AP poll, Oregon's above the number 5, who I have at number 5. But I think that even though they have a better record, they have not played anybody. I still think the team above them played the number 1 team in the country, so I think you probably know what that means. But I still think they're very good. I think the loss of Evan Stewart is really going to hurt them. DeCorian Moore is a good receiver. I think he's great, but he's also a freshman. And I know people want to say like Jeremiah Smith. There's only one Jeremiah Smith. Like you look at Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams is not even Jeremiah Smith. There's only one Jeremiah Smith. So I think him losing that. I still think they're so incredibly fast. This team is still, I think, probably the fastest team in the country. One of the fastest, maybe tied with Ohio State, that secondary. At number 5, I got Texas. Texas fell. They went from number 1 to number 7. I don't get that. They lost to the number 1 team in the country on the road by 7. I get it was 14-0, but I just think I don't understand why you drop Texas that far. So I have Texas at 5. I still think Arch Manning's going to be good. You looked how he played at the end of the 4th. Those were some phenomenal throws. It was in prevent defense. But he really layered those balls really nicely. So I got Texas at 5. At 4, I got Georgia. I'm not doubting Kirby. I'm just kind of doubting Gunnar Stockton. We'll see what he's like. But yeah, we got Georgia at 4. They're still big. They're still strong. They're still fast. They're still mean. They're still the dogs. So we got Georgia at 4. And a pick that's probably going to bite me, that's going to bite everybody in the ass, is LSU at 3. One thing, LSU does not need to be number 1 or number 2. They were number 9 before. I just don't think Clemson played well that game. I think if you play that game again, I think Clemson probably wins. I mean, we'll maybe play the game 10 times. Clemson probably wins 5 of them, maybe 4. But yeah, so I got LSU at 3. Man, if LSU and Georgia play, I don't even matter. It could be in Death Valley. I think Georgia wins. I think Georgia would kill. I don't know what it is. Kirby just, you like Joel Klatt will talk about having teams play on like a bell curve, like where you have like this is like average and like you have like the lower and the higher that are the percentage of you playing on your best or your worst are a lot lower than the average. Kirby gets his guys at the top of that bell curve all the time. Look at the Texas game last year in Austin. Texas is roster-wise is much better than Georgia. Georgia killed them, and with their backup beat them in the SEC championship. So I think if Georgia and LSU played, I think Georgia wins. But with that win on the road, I gotta put LSU at 3. At 2, I got Penn State, and kind of the top 3, like people are really like trying to shuffle the they don't know if they put LSU above Penn State. I get the win they had. And in most cases, I would put LSU at 2, but just it's Brian. I don't know. I feel like Clemson. I don't know. Like maybe like you could I could like right now put LSU at 2. I just have Penn State at 2 just because they were at 2. They did what they were supposed to do. And I remember last year Ohio State was at 2, and they bumped them down to 3 because Texas beat Michigan, and then Michigan turned out to be no good. And I don't understand why they're punishing Ohio State for taking care of business. I'm not going to do that. LSU had a great win, but I want to see them look flashy. And I want to see Penn State was above them. I want to see Penn State fail to meet expectations, which they probably will. They probably will fail to meet expectations. Come on, we all know this. But I want to see them do it before I punish them. I don't want to punish them because another team did good. So LSU at 3. Also, the SEC's overrated. The Big Ten is on top. So we got Penn State at 2. This is it for James Franklin. I think if nothing happens this year, and I picked him to win the national title in my preseason over Texas. Obviously, that pick's probably going to change now. Originally, I had Penn State beating Georgia. I could actually still see that happening. But if he doesn't do it, I don't know if he gets fired. I think he might move on and go to the NFL where he can, maybe there's less pressure and kind of like have more of a coaching more than a recruiting. aspect. That's kind of what like Chip Kelly did when he left UCLA to come to Ohio State to be a coordinator. But yeah, I got Penn State at 2. Drew Aller looks like Drew Aller. Their team, they look like Penn State. They just look like a good Penn State team. So we'll see. They got to play Columbus. And the reason why I wanted to have them at 2 is because this leads a number 1 versus number 2, as Ohio State is the number 1 team in the country. Let's actually switch over here to this little image I have propped. Actually, I'm going to bring it up on the screen. You can see it right here. This is the Week 2 top 25. Ohio State is number 1. They have the best resume right now, being the number 1 team in the country. They're number 1. They're going to be, and even, so I was thinking about it, if LSU is at 2, which they're not, but if LSU is at 2 and they beat Florida and Florida beats Texas, so Texas would be 2-2, probably they would be like outside the top 10. They would be like 15th. So if Florida beats Texas and LSU beats Florida, LSU would have a better resume, and I wonder if they would actually jump up to number 1 over Ohio State. So we'll see. I want this Penn State game, Ohio State, to be number 1 versus number 2. I have them both at number 1, number 2. So Ohio State's going to have to play at Illinois and at Washington, and Penn State's going to have to play Oregon at home for the whiteout. So if they can take care of business, which they will be favored in both of those games, so if they can win those games, this will be number 1 versus number 2 in Columbus, in the shoe, hopefully at night, blackout crowd, blackout uniforms, just game. You thought Texas Ohio State was game of the year? That is game of the year. That will be game of the year in Columbus, hopefully prime time. It is absolutely BS that we don't get these games at night. So that's my top 25. We'll go through it quickly. We have Iowa State at 25, SMU at 24, Auburn 23, Utah 22, Texas Tech 21, A&M at 20, Ole Miss at 19, Arizona State at 18, Bama 17, 16 Michigan, 15 Florida State, Tennessee at 14, Oklahoma at 13, Florida at 12, South Carolina at 11. The top 10, we got Illinois at 10, Notre Dame at 9, Miami at 8, Clemson at 7, Oregon at 6, Texas at 5, Georgia at 4, LSU at 3, Penn State at 2, and the Ohio State Buckeyes at number 1. The reigning champs still at number 1. Reminds me of Nick Saban in Alabama. Thank you for watching the Hot Seat, a college football show. We will be back tomorrow for last minute locks. There's still a couple picks I'm still trying to do a little research on. A couple rivalry games that we're 7-7 right now. Week 1 and week 0 has not been very good to me. So hopefully we can rewrite the records for week 2. And we will see you guys all tomorrow. Thank you for watching the Hot Seat College Football Show, and we will see you.